How about you?
I'm good, thank you. Just enjoying the start of the real start of fall.
I know it came quite fast,
Yeah,
actually. We're doing
I don't
well.
mind it. It's good.
I know I like fall too. It's my favorite season. I'm Shanae. I'm the marketing coordinator for Oasis May.
My name is Miriam, and I am the owner and founder of Pretty Clean Shop, a sustainable living store in
And
Toronto.
I'm so glad that you made the time for us today. We have a couple questions to get to. First off, I just wanted to kind of, give everyone a brief overview about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I was born and raised in Mexico, where I studied international relations. Then I moved to Belgium for a master's administration, as I was leaning at the time towards a career in diplomacy. In terms of my experience, it's funny that even if all of my background is in politics and international relations, really most of my experience has been in sales on different industries though. The story of how Great Clean Shop came to be and what inspired me to lead a green life, it really had children when I had my first child, but it wasn't really until then when I started to look a lot more at all of the ingredients that were in the products that I use, not just on my beauty regime, but also everything in the house, everything we used to clean. So I became much more aware of that. Formulation was important, and the ingredients were obviously important, but then it was a little bit more than that. It was all of the ways that we were creating, and that really was what spurred me into trying to make a change and trying to focus on a way that we wouldn't create so much waste for the world we live in. After many years of daydreaming of quitting my job and having my own company, that finally in a couple of years ago in 2019 I founded Pretty Clean Shop, and I left my corporate sales role, and here I am.
If you were to describe yourself in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
Forward looking. I like to think I'm fair, and I am definitely relentless,
Yeah.
without a shadow of a doubt.
What are your strengths, do you find, or have you learned?
So I think that I am very cautious with my decisions, and at the same time, I have a fairly strong creative side, which typically goes, some people are either analytical or they're creative, and I have a bit of both, so that I think that's good in many ways, for sure. It's a constant pull, but it has helped me, I think, get to where I am today. And something that I think it's valuable in any business is to delegate, to be able to delegate, and I feel like I am able to do it, and I actually like to delegate.
Do you find that was when you were starting your business, that was a little bit of a challenge at first?
It is a challenge when you don't know what you're doing yourself. So you
Yeah.
you need to have a good grasp of what is it that you that you want to do, that you can do. Something that's important, which is knowing what your shortcomings are and where you're not strong at all, and where your attention and your time is better spent focusing on the things that you can master, and let someone else who knows, how to do certain things better, just let them go on with it. So I do believe that you don't need to know how to do everything, because
Yeah.
that's not a good use of your time. Balancing is definitely a big challenge, and in my case, I struggle with that. It's definitely one of the weaknesses, to get this work-life balance. Um, it's interesting because people think that when you have your own business, you'll be able to have all of the time in the world to precisely get that life balance, and it's not really that's not really the case. As an entrepreneur, when you start a business, especially, it's an all consuming effort, and that requires constant attention, nonstop. So that is just that's just the case for anyone that starts, their own company. I do struggle to turn my brain off and just, leave the office, flip the switch, and enjoy life with my family. It's actually a very difficult thing to accomplish. So it's really a catch-22 because you want to have that balance, but at the same time, you know that all of the responsibility and all of the pressure is on you for the business to materialize, to consolidate, and to grow. Even within that problem, which is, or within that reality, it is important to know that you don't have to do everything, and you don't have to excel at everything.
Like, what sort of things do you feel like are weakness that you've learned along the way?
For the most part, I like to lead by example. So I have a small team, and I think that it's very important for me that they see the effort and the care that I put into the job every day, and that hopefully that makes them feel inspired to do the same. I am very lucky in the sense that they are drawn to this industry for similar, ethical reasons as me. You don't know what you're trying to accomplish. You cannot ask for people to do or to help you accomplish your goals. So I've learned definitely that that is an important first step. Just bring things, narrow them down to what the objective is, and then give them the space and the leeway to just go do it. It helps everyone grow. It helps everyone focus on how they can do things better. So I have learned that as long as I tell them what is it that we're trying to accomplish, and sometimes I give them a guideline of what I think could be the possible solution or a solution. Nothing is fail-proof, and nothing has been, said and done. So for the most part, I give them a guidance of, I think this is more or less the road that I would take, but at the same time, I'm not sure. So we'll figure it out. Now, during the pandemic, we had to be very nimble. So I had to implement changes and operations and policies from, one day to another. We had to create new procedures on the spot, and we didn't know for certain whether they were going to work. And a very important lesson that I learned during this time is that even if ultimately all of the decisions that I made were based on what I felt was the best for the business as a whole, that includes, all of us, it was important for me to take into consideration their opinions, their concerns, and their input. That was a very valuable lesson for everyone, specifically for me. And also something that some people may think it's a weakness to show weakness. To be honest, I was very clear with them and candid about the fact that I didn't have all the answers. I was honest about telling them that I would fight and do my best to figure it out. And we had to go back to the drawing board several times with our processes, about the way we were working, about what worked best.
Yeah, especially during like this pandemic, I can't even really imagine what it was like. So I guess aside from like this pandemic, what are some of the aside from that, the biggest obstacles that you've had to overcome, or still sort of overcoming in your business or while starting your business?
Yeah, so definitely there's been a few challenges and obstacles while starting the business, and then now while running the business. The first one was myself, to finally, I thought about it for a long time, and to finally make the decision of leaving a very comfortable corporate role in an area where I had a fair bit of experience and I was well established. So there's a lot of certainty in that, and then there's a lot of uncertainty in starting a business. So actually, get to that point where you decide to make the move, that was probably the biggest challenge. to convince myself to just say today is the day.
Mhm.
And then of course along the way, another challenge is to in a way not convince people around you, but almost like justify your decision because everybody thinks you're crazy. Even though a lot of people secretly would like to do the same, it's this like, oh, she must have lost her mind. How is she going to? So yeah, there were definitely a lot of conversations where I felt like I had to justify, like sell to everyone why I was doing this and why I thought it was a good idea. And in a way that's good. It became a strengthening thing because it made sure that you basically repeat all of those elements, and then you believe even more so in your own project. And then, of course, there's a lot of other things that you have to make sure you do a lot of due diligence to overcome when you are just starting any type of business. Legal issues, financial issues, a lot of setup that needs to be done, hiring people. So there's that management of your resources, of your time, of your knowledge, of getting the right advice. That is another area on its own. The main challenge is to change people's perceptions and habits. And there is a large percentage of people, actually the largest percentage of people, it's not our choir that we're preaching to, is the rest for whom sustainability is an unknown issue. It's something that maybe they haven't given two thoughts. So changing that perception that actually that's not really doing anything.
Yeah.
And it hasn't for the last 20 years. That is a big challenge, like to gently send your message across without scaring people away. And just it's more of a process. It's a journey. There's a little bit of education, well, a lot of education, and but it's more awareness, bringing awareness. So that's a challenge.
So what sort of I guess like you sort of answered it in the question in the past, but is that something that you find that is a challenge in sustainability today?
Yes, definitely. That is the main challenge. That was before the pandemic. So obviously now the challenge is even more so because a lot of people that maybe were getting onto the right path or were kind of gently being swayed, now they backtrack. So it's several steps behind. In our case, for example, you could bring your own containers to refill anything you wanted. And during the pandemic, we had to reimagine how our business would work. So we redesigned our model in a way. So for the moment, we are not getting the bring your own container. So we had to put that on hold for the time being. And the way that we have pivoted and adjusted our model is by pre-filling everything in mason jars. However, they can buy any of our refillable products still in a mason jar, in a pre-filled mason jar. They pay $1.25 of deposit. So they take it pre-filled, and when they're done, they bring them back, leave them in a box, take a full one, and they just pay for the refill. So it's a trading. It's a fast transaction, so it also minimizes the amount of time that people have to be in the store. And then we have a process in which then we get all of the jars, we wash them, sanitize them, and then we make sure that they are dry, and then those jars are then refilled for the next batch. It's still avoiding extra packaging, extra waste, and in a way it's faster, and that's the way that we can ensure that the containers are properly handled and properly sanitized so that we all keep as safe as possible.